We are gathered here this morning to deliberate on issues that affect us as a city, the issues of water, and also to share with the stakeholders what we think lies ahead of us and what we think could do for the city of Bulawayo. Ladies and gentlemen, I want also to put it to you that in our last meeting, there was a meeting which was supposed to have been held last week, but one. That meeting did not take place because stakeholders did not come. We were very much surprised because we are in a crisis situation. In a crisis situation like this, we will be expecting that all the stakeholders to come. And today, I'm happy we are going to manage to have this meeting, but still the attendance is very poor. It doesn't show that we are really in a crisis situation. The factors that affect us in the provision of water are so many, but I want to make mention two main factors that are affecting us. One, the water consumption is too high. You will remember in our meeting on the 1st of August, we did mention that if we were to have consumption of about 130 megaliters a day, we are going to be able to give the residents of Bulawayo enough water, maybe up to the end of the year. But now our consumption is hovering around 150 megaliters a day. It's just too high. And then what further complicates is another second factor, the issue of power supply. We know we have got very serious power shortages in the country. Our partners, ZETDC, have been trying all their best to give us the power, but because of power shortages, in some cases, we fall short. And this is what really affects us. If we are affected and we are not able to pump, we don't want as a local authority to fail to provide water. If we are not able to give water to the residents, we start water shedding. It also creates other challenges like water pipe, the sewer pipe base. So we really want to continuously have our water supply to the residents. And it is my hope and trust, ladies and gentlemen, that our coming together today, we will share a lot of information. We will also proffer some other solutions which are desirable for the future supply in our city of Kings.
Allow me then to present the water supply situation for the city of Bulawayo. Our dams currently for the whole city, they are sitting at 40%. Our dams were okay in terms of being stable during the winter season. But as we all know, because we are in a very dry region, as we start getting into August, September, October, as the temperatures start to rise, the same happens with the evaporation. Lighting up as a city, the demand is very high. In terms of volume, I will not dwell much on that, but maybe I'll just need to highlight that the Upper Nxema, for those who drive from Bulawayo bese eSigodini, ngizananzelela ukuthi on your left side, you will notice that we just have a puddle of water for the Upper Nxema. There isn't much water left in Ade. And another dam which is now currently almost drying up is Umzingwane Dam. Umzingwane is now sitting at 10.84%. I'll explain a bit about Umzingwane. Umzingwane is basically our anchor dam. Why in Shonjani? We depend our system basically on Umzingwane. When we have Umzingwane going out, we start to have challenges with drawing water from Umchabezi, upper ilower Ncema, labo Insiza, although be getting water, but Mzingwani helps us to push. So why we had the town clerk Zamuguti asibonise demand, because our demand is very high for this city. So we're trying by all means now to stretch whatever we have to the next rainy season. So in terms of the average for the last 5 years, as you can see, I will not be saying much, but it is very poor in terms of the inflows that we got for the rain season 2018 to 2019. In terms of midterm statistics, I've mentioned that's what we have. We have Upper Ncema off, we have Ilower Ncema very low. The main critical dams where we have got water in Nyankoni, in Caesar and Imchabez. Those are the three critical dams that we are now left with. Current water challenges, we have actually highlighted on the power issues. I think the nation at large is facing challenges in terms of power. So as Bulawayo, sometimes once in a while, we are being requested to reduce in terms of power usage, in terms of pumps. So we switch off some of the pumps when the low grid lying a collapse because of the demand will be so high. But we are affected, it affects us in terms of raw water delivery and even pumping clear water into our system. The growing water demand, as we have said, hence the issue of seeing how we can manage and stretching whatever water that we have. We have a raw water reservoir, a criterion. That reservoir, we may be buffer for almost a week plus. Let's say we have a disaster in the city and we cannot pump water from our dams. That raw water reservoir is a criterion. It should carry the city without us feeling any delivery challenges for at least a week, if it's full. But at the moment, since February, when we had AMA challenges, that reservoir is not at what we call the optimum level. The temporal breakdowns, where the breakdown on the KSB and the South raw water pumps, I will not say much on the technicalities of the KSB and ROSA, but in our pumps, the raw water from the dams to the city. So we had a challenge on that one, on those pumps. But we have actually worked on the KSB pumps, and we are back to pumping, but it's not the optimum level that SE4 in terms of its delivery. We also had an emergency shedding, SINZIO last week and the other week with power challenges. Mud infiltration. We on Thursday, Friday, and on Saturday, we had to do an emergency cleaning of one of our reservoirs because one of the pumps was now drawing water, which is muddy from the reservoirs. Hence, we had to do an emergency water shedding. Malfunctioning of our valves. We've got actually some of our valves that we have to replace emakwegu. Hence, we realized that actually Zolona Namsha, Bego report to the reservoir is actually overflowing. What had happened was that Imakwegu gets water from the Country Park, a pump station. It also gets water from Criterion. From a Criterion, that is water that is flowing by gravity. It's not being pumped. And that same water has to actually supply Omkanini, Onketa, Labonguruma. Ngapa, at the same time, when we're open, we then experienced Amapest on the White City line, which actually then caused us Ama reservoirs. You cannot now repair a pipe, Napaman's pool. So we now close the water when the Rutaban bus sevens in upper downstream. And you can imagine Napaman's Ayabuya and the valve survived. These were the challenges. So it meant to go to the civilian a criterion. But we have a criterion. So which would tell them in Kanini, the Bonketa, the Bonkuruman, you are also closing them. No, but our man's a criterion. So these were the challenges. But anyway, the feedback is that I think we've finished. We will repair White City. So we are opening water. We're going to reservoir so that we manage the water situation. So these are some of the challenges that we're facing. These are some of the pictures Okay, EKSB pump laphana efeni. Those are our electromechanical team besebenza laphana belungisa EKSB pump. Ngapha on the right side, kuphakathi kwe reservoir, it's not a building. This is what it looks like phakathi kwe reservoir. It's so big. So okuphansi laphana ludaka. This is what they were actually now scouring, removing from the reservoir, which is the mud. So they've been working 24 hours a day since Thursday, Friday, and Saturday morning. I think we've actually discussed on the reservoirs. In terms of our reservoirs as of today, Imakwekwe is sitting at 15. OU side, is rifle range 6J. They are actually okay in terms of our status. Basically, challenging a tool. It truly why it went down to 9. We were actually now drawing water from Tudise supply or hillside so that we now balance the system. Hence, it actually went down. But because of shedding, we hope it's going to stabilize. Our criterion clear reservoir, which is 3.61, it's actually okay. The criterion clear critical is at 1 meter. So now with 3.61 lapana, it's actually on good supply. We've mentioned Apanema Lemzingwan. Apanema, we decommissioned it in June. And we might decommission Umzingwan earlier than November if the situation doesn't improve. But at the moment, we're still looking at November decommissioning Umzingwan. But basically, the other dams, they are still okay in terms of supply. We might not decommission them this year. These are the water rationing allocations. For the high density areas, we've got 450 liters. Low density areas, 650 liters. What are we saying? If a resident is going to use more than 450 liters, there are going to be penalties. Same for a low density resident, if they don't stick to 650 liters. Why were to review down this the allocation? Lapha besizama ukuthi manage consumption, which is still very high. So we hope residents are going to be encouraged to stick to the water allocations that we've provided for in the last quarter of the year. So I think in a nutshell, this is our presentation.
Our main aim is to create an understanding and appreciation of the water crisis, to identify and role of various stakeholders, development of IEC materials on water conservation and related topics, to disseminate accurate, timely and accessible and relevant information, to conduct awareness campaigns and regular updates on water available. So local, sorry, can you go back a little? So lawa ngama points to njenge cluster information dissemination okumele sikwenze to update the public on the appreciation of water crisis, lokuthi ba understand bazwisise ukuthi kuyini okwenzakalayo ngaleso sikhathi. On the next slide. The call center. The meeting suggested that a voice recording of water conservation tips could be played while its clients are holding their calls. Sananzelela ukuthi mhlawumbe nxa ama clients ipublic ifona ku call center kulesikhathi lapha nababamba khona ifoni. So during that time we suggested ukuthi kube le water conservation tip ukuthi ipublic izwisise ukuthi amanzi i-rationing yamanzi ukuthi uhamba njani ngaleso sikhathi njalo kuyini imbangela njalo wapha ama-conservation tips. And then the next point is the meeting also highlighted that there was a need for a graphic designer to work on posters. It also felt that a soft copy of a poster can be utilized given budget constraints. Nimbe Trust was tasked to see if they can assist with a graphic designer and feedback on the next meeting. The next. The Education Subcommittee proposed a poetry, public speaking drama, and quiz. It also felt that there is a quiz The quiz could be done during roadshow campaigns. Awards for schools were proposed in form of material like badges and school ambassadors. The committee would work with school health clubs, which are already in place. Lapha sithi ezikolo, abantwana ezikolo labo bayakwazi ukuthi amanzi ayahlupha, so we can as well use abantwana babe awareness, kube lama quiz, kube lama roadshow campaigns. And then the next point is the meeting was advised that the community groups like GESI Champion were ready to disseminate water conservation information. Mrs. Mpofu had liaised with finance on printing of water conservation messages. This had already started. This is a water bill. Sananzelela ukuthi phansi ngaphansi kweslip se water bill yikho lapho kuzabe kuphuma khona ama conservation messages. Water is life, save every drop. Ngaphansi kwama water slips. Yes, these are ama tips for ama residents. So lapha libona ngama conservation information, every drop counts, reduce your use. Ngama stickers in form of stickers. Laphana futhi kuyatshengisela ukuthi water is worth it. These are forms of how best we can conserve our water. This is also another advert that has also been shared on social media, my newspaper and radio stations. The meeting also advised that the council managed to disseminate water conservation messages during the 2020 budget consultation meetings. It felt that the distribution of information should be strategic. Council clinics with TV screens were to be utilized in the spreading of information. Ema clinic, TV, itshengisela ama conservation, how best we can conserve water. The meeting also proposed that a branded vehicle would also attract audience. It also proposed that the umbrella bodies like church organization and business organizations be written to. Also printing and designing of companies were to be written for assistance with material. Prominent people have been engaged to assist in the dissemination of water conservation messages. For example, the Bulawayo mimis ngabantu labana abakhuluma ama-jokes, ama-comedians, they've been engaged as well. Paperback Africa, Gilmore, Standazile. The meeting was advised that the council has an arrangement with ZBC on the production and dissemination of information. It also proposed that there was a need to educate junior councillors, university and college students.
On this committee which presented, but I just want to maybe concerning how we need to conserve our lands. I just need maybe with this bore issue, Emma pause. Let me tell you, town clerk, there's some people maybe Abalama pause isn't the result. I'm telling you maybe my residents nearby. Can they access water to that person? I know maybe the same guy ever says some case this and that for him, whatever. But I feel I'm married to I feel maybe those people when I'm opposed. My residents are forgot. My residents should access somehow to avoid the situation as water level of Bulawayo is going down, but those powers maybe are not utilized. What is the maybe now they have to give water to our neighbors? Just a question. I don't know whether I'm putting it to right.
Umbuzo wami usekuthini khona i-council yenzani ngokurepair ama-poles lawa asefile?
Kuma penalties umbuzo wami ukuthi ngizwe likhuluma ngama limits awe high density lawe low density alichongo lutho ngama corporate bodies. What happens with businesses, because businesses tend to use water as well, and we would want to know what our limit is ukwenzela ukuthi city take action where we need to. And also closely associated with that is how are you calculating the penalty itself? What percentage is it or beyond the stipulated limit? Okunye bengikhangele i-cluster reportileyo sithanda ukulibonga. My question nje kuphela, well, not really a question, it's more of an observation. Bakhulume ngokuthi they would like to have this information being posted in Guma TVs ngena in other organizations and Guma Hold and so on and so forth. I personally think the first place that this should start is the actual council. If you go a wall, a drill wall, you might find a revenue hall, sorry, yes, thank you. A revenue hall, lapana, you wouldn't really find ama TVs, yes, there'll be posters, but why don't you have those as well? Ama queues lapana mate. You know, it would be useful to have these tips running as well there. It would be useful also to consider contacting network providers, the likes of Econet, Net1, and so on and so forth. Bafage labo those tips there whilst you are waiting for someone on a call. And also la local about khulumileyo ngabantwana besikolo, I think that's brilliant. It just needs to be communicated better. I think it would be useful. Abantwana normally are the ones that do better transmitting of information than abadala. Thank you.
We only have one cluster reporting. You can see, surely we are not serious on our situations that we are in. We are in a crisis situation. We would have expected that all the other three clusters could have reported today. But I want to thank the lady who has presented on behalf of the information cluster. It shows seriousness, madam. Thank you very much. And of course, it has been observed by another speaker before. I also said this. Let's encourage all the clusters to come on board. Right, the issues of the tips that we are talking about, we are taking note of that, and I'm also hoping the information cluster is taking note of, so that we also have some tips at the revenue wall and in other places where people do converge, like Net1, Telecel, Econet, and so forth, that we are going to take note of and see whether that could be possible. And then I will ask, after I will have exhausted the questions, the issue of penalties. Mr. Engineer Ngobe will take on the question that was asked, to say you only mentioned penalties for household consumers. How about corporates, and how the penalties are calculated? But let me just first of all deal with the two issues. The issue of private balls. With all due respect, we respect private property. We cannot force private individuals to provide that service to other people. That we cannot do, unfortunately. Nxa ufuna manzi hambe ezicelela as an individual, thina njenge local authority akeke siforce umuntu ukuthi anika abanye abantu amanzi isigodo esiseyadini yakhe. Umuntu lwana ulelungelo lokwenza intando yakhe eyadini yakhe, thina kasingeneli lapho. Then the other speaker spoke about the community bowls. Let me tell you something about the community poles. I want you to understand this. In as much as council, we are preparing to rehabilitate all the poles because we are in a crisis situation. It is not our mandate to rehabilitate those community poles. Those community poles were donated to us by our partners, such as World Divisions and others, who made it clear that the poles are community poles and they have to be handed over to communities. What you are required to do as communities is to take care of those poles. And if that pole breaks down, lichaya amasenti mbijana dollar ihlanganise lidinga umuntu alilungisele ngayo inama poles. But we are in a crisis situation. As a city, we cannot just stand aloof. We are going to rehabilitate the poles. As I talk right now, my procurement team is busy trying to organize the contractors to do the poles. We expect that it will take us a week or two to do all the poles where we can afford and the way we have got the space, because what we may have as a problem is the space. But I want also to mention that we have got a well-wisher, a corporate, EDGAS. It has promised that it will give us the space for the poles. If we get the space and we identify the technician whom we have already engaged, then we will do the poles in the next 2 weeks. But let me repeat once again, it is not our obligation as a city to do community poles. They are your community poles. They are yours. But we will do them at least now because there is a crisis situation.
In terms of the allocation, in high density areas, it's 450 liters a day. Low density areas, 650. Then residential flat and individual meter, 400 liters. Then residential flats with bulk meters is 70% of your consumption. I think we'd say to the period ending March, it was an average consumption which we then use to smoothen the curve. Then your industry, if it depends on allowable usage. I'll give you an example. You might have somebody on a lodge. You come and you apply for an allocation. We will not say, since you are staying in, your lodge is located in the low density area, we will pay for 650 liters. We look at a number of issues. Your capacity as a lodge. Omunye maybe lodge has got maybe 3 rooms. Omunye maybe lodge has 10 rooms. So we look at your usage for that lodge, then we calculate your allocation. So pay allocation, there are no services. You might maybe notice that you underestimated your usage. You come back again, you maybe then apply to say, maybe this allocation, since it's giving me penalties, can I apply for a second allocation? We go back and do our calculations. There are 2 methods. We can use your average consumption over maybe 6 months. We can use the traditional allocation of previous lodges that have maybe a similar business to you. And so this is what we do. So allocations for places like you mentioned, corporate and commercial, are a bit different. It's based on your usage. So then the penalty will be based on the allocation that we'll have given you. Maybe the allocation will be 1,000 liters a day. If you go beyond the 1,000 liters a day, we'll hit you on that penalty. For industry, they're saying $1.50 in excess per kiloliter. Then maybe we'll have 500. So it depends who commercial. It's not a straight line formula that we apply. What different or residential low high density. I think that is how we, so when we reduced the allocation to a 70%, that's how we didn't say maybe 15%. Ngoba maybe labanye we said 15%, we reduced it down to that figure. But industry we said 70% of your consumption.